All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 6 of the Quarantine Quick Hits. It is a Wednesday hump day. We've got two special guests with me today. I've got Zach and Evan. If you guys want to introduce yourself, kind of let us know what you do.
Oh, go for it,
I'm
Zach.
Zach.
All right.
I'm Evan.
All right.
Now, who wants to go first? Evan, do you want to talk about yourself before I do?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. So my name is Evan Giddings, and I met these guys a couple of years ago in 2018 during my time with Los Santos, the St. Paul Saints. And yeah, so I'm currently in Frisco, Texas, working for the Frisco Rough Riders, the Rangers AA affiliate, and love the world of baseball, all things sports, really, and just happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us today, Evan. Zach?
Zach Neubauer. I work for the St. Paul Saints. I worked with Evan and Brian a little while ago, and I'm still there. You guys jumped ship and went off and did other things, but I'm still there. I make like videos, and I run our video board and do some of the live stream. Like everybody kind of in minor league baseball wears a million hats. So I wear a lot of hats within a video media area.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I would say so. And then, yeah, I mean, I love all of Zach's work. I was lucky enough to be a part of some of the stuff he made. And then Evan is a hell of a guy. He's been all over the place. I was joking with him earlier when I texted him. I was like, we're going at 2:30 Central because I don't know what time zone you're ever fucking in.
Yeah, I was previously on the East Coast. I was in North Carolina for a little bit. I do play-by-play broadcasting and other radio outlets. So, just kind of bouncing around, and wherever the opportunity is, that's where I've been going. So, like I mentioned, in 2018, I was with the Saints. Then I moved up to Fargo for a little bit, worked in radio up there. Last season, I was in Erie, Pennsylvania with Tigers affiliates, and then moved over to the East Coast to work in North Carolina. And now I'm currently back on the Central Time Zone. Yep. So glad to be with you, boys.
Central Time is where it's at. I think it's the best time zone personally. But like I said, it's Hump Day. We've got some good news coming out in regards to sports. So today, after 17 years, the Falcons released their new uniforms, which I'll pop up on the screen here. You guys can see it.
I did not realize it had been 17 years.
Yes. So it's been 17 years since the last time that they did something different. So it almost 2 decades, which is insane to think about.
Wow. So their current jersey was 17 years ago, because that was during Michael Vick's time, right?
Yeah. I think that's when it was. I forget.
Yeah, they switched it from the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, I always liked the Dirty Birds.
And now they have 8 different uniform combinations to choose from, which includes the throwback, which pays homage to the 1966 team, the Rise Up alternate uniform, and black home, white away, gradient alternate, and the 66 throwback, like I said. So you guys can take a look at that at onhistab.com for anyone listening. I popped up a picture on the screen, but you can take a look at the helmets and whatnot. But what do you guys think? There's a lot of opinions floating around online. People hate it. People love it.
Yeah, my first thought is that it kind of looks like something you would design in like Madden 06. Where like you didn't have a lot of customization. You could just sort of like pick between 3 number fonts and like a few like, oh, do you want the pants to be red or black? Go. I don't hate it. It just seems a little basic.
Yeah,
definitely. I think the block lettering, I mean, it's for sure a throwback, like you mentioned, kind of paying homage to the older Falcons teams. There's just so many variations, and I like some of them. Like I like the black on top of the white. I think that's classic. The numbers are kind of interesting, and I think they work with the black and the red. But to me, the whites, especially the all whites, and then with the white tops, those need a little work. I don't know if someone's got to wear like a multicolored arm sleeve to complement it, but I think they got half of them right out of the 8.
Yeah, and I'm generally in favor of this sort of mix and match. Like the NBA is doing a lot with their jersey styles, like not just going white at home and some sort of color on the road. I like that they can kind of wear almost a different jersey for whatever. They could wear a different jersey for only 2 games each year.
Yeah.
Right? Did I say that right? Does that make sense?
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
As long as they bring back the red helmets too. I want those.
So I think the ones that are that's in the blog is the ones that they're going with. I think that's the only one that was up on the website. The only one I can find. They're going with the black and then the silver face mask. So I'm not sure. And they're going obviously with a 30% larger Falcon on the for the sticker, but I don't know. I think this is the only one that they're gonna have.
How threatening does Matt Ryan look in that middle photo, though?
Very.
Look at how just studly he looks.
As threatening as he's ever looked, I think. You know, I feel like he generally looks like a man who works at a library, but you know, there it looks like, yeah, he's watching the door at that library.
Yeah, he says Boston College. He epitomizes that.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at that picture, like scrolling down a little bit, I really like the sort of classic Dirty Bird just because it looks cool.
Yeah.
But the black on black looks really cool. I do really like the one Matt Ryan's wearing right now.
It's very
I think
hard.
their whites are struggling a little.
Very, very hard to fuck up black on black. Like it's very like you look cool automatically if you got black on black. Like 9.5 times out of 10, I feel like. But
yeah, and the red really pops on that
down the sides too, like the red and the white thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm pretty sure that was a variation on Madden 06. So you could put that little stripe down the side, and it came to that little point. So, yeah.
It also looks like the numbers were created just like with a Photoshop drop shadow. You know?
Yeah.
Like
they're not
kind of just have those on the side, and then a 3-year-old put them together.
Yeah, I feel like I just made something like that where I needed I just need the thing to pop just a little bit.
Yeah.
So then you put a drop shadow on, but you make it really intense and really small, and it just sort of gives it a little piping. It does kind of look like that.
And the other big news, maybe not so sports related, but esports related, is Sony revealed their new DualSense controller yesterday too, for the PlayStation 5, which I'll pop up a picture as well on here. You guys can take a look at it. It's very, very similar to what the Xbox remote looks like, which is ultimately, I feel like there was a war between Xbox people and PS4 people or PlayStation people. What do you guys think? I mean, even if you don't play video games, you know what they look like. I don't know. This is a weird concept to me.
Go for it.
Yeah, I haven't had a gaming system since PS2, so I'm coming at it from that perspective, which I played up until it died on me recently. So I've been every now and again I plug it back in and try to get it to fire up, but not quite. I mean, my question, I guess, would be how raised are those buttons? If they're kind of inset, I don't know that I love that much ergonomically. To be able to feel the button as I'm flying around.
That's a good question. I feel like
if you scroll over on the picture, it looks like there's a little depth to them.
Yeah, I feel like they'd stick with the same concept that they did for the past PS4 remotes or PlayStation remotes. They're just a little bit wider and bigger now, which is weird. And then the colorway, like the staple of it, the symbol colors, the green triangle, the red circle, the blue X, and this purple square, they're gone now, which is so weird because I feel like that's what distinguished playing PS4 versus playing Xbox. But my main question with this is, what are your top 3 video games of all time that you've played?
Well, I'm gonna be with Zach here because I mean the golden age was the PlayStation 2.
It was.
I do have a PS4, but I only have Madden 19, and so I've pretty much just been working that. So I'm gonna stick with my core PS2.
Okay.
So number 1, it's got to be NBA Street Volume 2 specifically.
I definitely had that one.
Yeah, Volume 2.
Oh,
Stretch Malone and Biggie Smalls, my 2 favorite players. Biggie Smalls, you can just cross up everyone, drop them, throw up lobs to Stretch, and then number 2, I'm a big Battlefront guy, and I personally like the first one. And then number 3, it's a little close. So they're both made by Rockstar Games. So I was younger, wasn't allowed to play the M-rated games, right? Rental advisory, all that good stuff. So I didn't get into Grand Theft Auto for a while. As a result,
but you had a game where you could legally rent a car?
Yeah, exactly. I was just trying to free myself. I wasn't 25. I couldn't rent a car. I couldn't get one. So we're past that now, though. But they created a essentially teen version of the game called Bully, and that game was pretty darn fun, if I do say so myself.
I do remember that game. That just unlocked a memory I forgot I had.
Yes.
On my end, so I'll split it up because I played a ton of sports games, and so I think I loved playing. Again, this is PS2 time, so we'll whatever. But I played NBA Live over 2K because back in the day, that one was more fun for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
MLB The Show and Madden, and pretty much those are the ones I just keep buying new, like the most, like as recent of a PS2 version of Madden that I can get, which I think was 12. So I've played that recently and had a good time with it.
04?
Did I play Madden 04?
No, I was just wondering what your favorite year, like for your favorite edition of the game was.
Oh man,
mine was 04. It had to be the one with Vic on it.
Yeah, that was fun. If you're going like back in time, Vic was like he was like playing with Bo Jackson. Like we made a rule that you couldn't play with them. You couldn't be the Falcons because it was unfair. I think there was a year or two. It must have been like 99. You couldn't be the Falcons either because of Jamal Anderson. And for some reason, you couldn't tackle Jamal Anderson. For some reason, it was weird. And actually, now that we're talking about this, I used to have Game Day 99.
Oh my god!
And you would return kicks. I could return kicks with Deion Sanders, and you would just like the turn control was so sensitive that I would just run back and forth, and guys would dive and miss you. And then eventually, I would end up running like almost every kickback because you just run to the right and then to the left, and then just go like this a lot, and people would just dive and take themselves out of the play, and you go. So those are kind of the sports ones. Non-sports, when I was younger, I played a ton of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
Also a good one.
Was great. The things that you could do on that are not physically possible. Like you could get in a half pipe and do like 8 McTwists while flipping the board in a kickflip and a shove it and catch it and then drink a coffee and land. Same with Dave Mira's BMX game. A little part of me died when he died a couple years ago. And I remember I got into the band Sublime because of Dave Mira. They had What I Got was on that. And like, it was one of like 8 songs because the old CD-ROMs couldn't they would just cycle through them super fast. And so Dave Mira, and then Cool Borders 3, I used to play a ton. So way into extreme sports, I guess, in my video gaming and not so much in my real life. But yeah. Those were kind of the 3 I also played a lot of Lord of the Rings too. I had all the Lord of the Rings games.
That's right. Return of the King was a great game.
They all 3. Were there 3? There might have
only been 2. I think they started with the 2 towers.
Yeah, because nobody really fights anybody in Fellowship of the Ring, right?
No, you play through the ring race in the first scene, and that's about it.
Yeah. The Fellowship of the Ring game is just like attending a lot of meetings.
Well, I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the 2 towers, like the first level is when the Uruk-hai attack and they kill Boromir. I'm pretty sure that's like the first level. But
I seem to remember that the orcs were harder to kill than the Uruk-hai for some reason.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
But they were like the power dynamic was completely switched.
That's I never played any of those games. Well, the Lord of the Ring ones at least. The other ones I did play. Yeah. I think my top 3 would have to be it was Mario Kart 64 version, not the newer ones. Mm-hmm. Any NCAA college sport one, also up there, and then Grand Theft Auto had to be my top one for sure. But I did play Bully.
You played Bully?
Yeah, which I also did play Bully.
You weren't allowed to play M-rated games. It was the only way to go.
Yeah, I originally started playing that, and then my parents finally let me play San Andreas or Vice City, whichever one was out then. Are the ones that I went with, and then obviously MLB The Show was in like once those started pumping out. I love those. Once I started getting a little older and like had the attention span to play those games.
Yeah, I played Need for Speed 2 Underground a lot also.
Yes. Yeah, I had that game too. Yeah.
It was like Fast and the Furious came out and I was like, what game lets me Fast and the Furious? and that was it. So,
Also, Spyro gets an honorable mention.
Spyro does have to get an honorable mention, and any like Mario related game, I feel.
I had Frogger too. Which, like it's
I just
not
play that in real life. I just hop on the freeway.
Just go stand out in the street for a little while.
And last big topic that we had to talk about today was the MLB season. Everything coming out yesterday and 2 days ago, with the season potentially happening, all these asterisks on what if it happens, how it would look. What do you guys think? Is this season gonna happen? Yes or no?
I mean, I'm personally pessimistic about it. I hope it does, because obviously I work in minor league baseball, so my employment and my work is dependent on the big league clubs doing their thing. But at least from what I was reading, I was taking a look at the Athletic breakdown of the proposal, and a lot of it seems predicated on essentially, quarantining these players in Phoenix. And I know that a lot of them have, at least the MLBPA has made requests for families to be involved, because guys don't want to be away from their families for however long this thing is going to go on. And that combination of having families with players all in the same area would create a difficult circumstance for those safety measures to remain in place. I also saw that, with that, a lot of health regulations, mandate certain things be in certain ways, people remain socially distant from each other, and that would be difficult to coordinate. They were talking about, instead of guys being in the dugout together, sitting out in the stands, with essentially replacing the fans. I don't know if you guys have been to an Oakland A's game, but a Tuesday day game, it's basically what it is. So I think that it could work. There's obviously a lot of kinks that need to be worked out, but the biggest barrier for me is going to be that safety. And I personally don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon. Like, they're talking about May being a projection. Everything to this point, whether it be from sports or especially politics, every single date that people have given us, everything has been pushed back and further along. So I expect there to be some sort of a season. I just don't think it's going to happen as soon as people hope.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm kind of in that boat also. Speaking, I guess I don't know if I should speak for the St. Paul Saints or not on that topic, but I think we're cautiously optimistic. But it does feel like the longer things drag out, the less and less and less and less likely. And it feels like, until we hit the peak, we won't really have an idea of where the valley is going to be. So, optimism, but, not buying a boat anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm glad at least it gave us something to talk about again in terms of sports. I mean, it was just like it had been weeks since we've heard anything from any league. I know NHL released that they were looking at potentially North Dakota as a location to finish out the season, kind of just wrap it up, which is also insane.
Does it have to be one of the states where they're like, hey, there's nobody in North Dakota, right? We could go there and be completely isolated.
Man,
Arizona, we can be definitely isolated in Arizona. I mean, North Dakota and Arizona.
So, I mean, those were the two biggest things. I think if it means having a season, even with all these regulations, with having the visual of Luke Voigt and Aaron Judge sitting 6 feet from each other, it'd be hilarious. But I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if it means the Yankees win another World Series and I get to see that, even with an asterisk, this season was kind of just like a test run, I would take it 100%.
So you would rather take an Astros World Series than
not have a season at all? Then not have a season at all, yes. 100%. Okay. I would take the season. I'll take the season.
I've heard that talk of them playing without fans and just televising it. I've been watching a lot of the late night dudes that are doing their shows from their homes. Mm-hmm. And you don't really realize how much those guys need a crowd. I feel like watching a baseball game where you can hear a pin drop. You're going to hear a lot of cursing. that you wouldn't normally hear, just because it's going to echo through Yankee Stadium. But I think it's going to be like, a guy rips a double off the wall and you're going to hear the thud and like nothing else. And I feel like it's going to be like watching a church softball game.
I think it will be, and it'll be hilarious.
You ever played in one of those games, Zach? Pretty fun.
It's fun to play in.
I will say, I think Joey Votto was quoted. He said that he wouldn't want to play if there weren't any fans, and I'm sure there are other guys that feel similarly. It's just, if there's nothing to really motivate you, I mean, I'm sure we'll see more guys going through the motions, and it'll probably be similar to spring training rather than actual regular season baseball for a little bit.
Yeah, I think the main motivator though is going to be the dollar signs, getting paid, even if it is. I think for the younger guys especially that are coming up, I think the money will be the motivator. But two last questions that I've got here that I had planned out here. If you had the opportunity to meet one person you haven't met yet, who would it be? Why? And what would you guys talk about?
I'll hop in first. Yeah. I think it would be super interesting. So I'm I do video stuff and I'm a bit of a film buff. I would love to talk with Wes Anderson. His movies are very stylized and sort of weird and interesting. I think it'd be kind of fun to pick not even just pick his brain, but just like experience a person who thinks that way. Like he just sees everything so specifically. You can never mistake a Wes Anderson film. I feel like that's who I would want to talk to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going back and forth on this. There was a couple guys I thought of, but the first person who came into my mind, so I'm gonna just roll with my gut, would be Marshawn Lynch.
Okay.
I think Marshawn would be a great dude to just like sit down, chill out, and talk about life with, because he's seen so much. I know he gets a lot of bad pub just from the quotes of I'm not here to
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, just here so I won't get fined. But I don't know if you guys ever saw like his Facebook series or some of the interviews that he's done since retiring from the game of football, or even while he was still playing. I just think he's a really interesting guy that has a lot to offer. And being from the Bay Area, he's pretty much the pride of Oakland. And I think if I could get 15, 20 minutes in a room with Marshawn and just ask him about anything, I think he'd be 100% honest and would probably lead to something pretty cool. So I'm gonna roll with beast mode.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that right about does it. I won't give mine out. I'll leave everyone hanging with that one. But thanks for joining me.
Give us like a clue. Give a hint. It's got to be super vague though.
Dave Roberts.
He has hair.
Oh.
And is in sports. So
that's two clues.
That's two clues that you guys can find out next episode. I'll kick it off with that. But thanks for joining me, Zach. Thanks for joining me, Evan. Anything you guys want to say? Any projects you guys are working out that I can link to the video?
Not anything specific. I mean, we're continuing to put out. We're doing our best to put out things that are fun and interesting from the St. Paul Saints account. So keep an eye on our Twitter and our Facebook and stuff like that. I don't know if there's anything to specifically link. Go back and watch some of the rewatches of the playoff series from this last year, because that was insane. So yeah.
I mean, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Giddings10. I mean, pretty much just waiting for the season to start. That's where the majority of my content is. I have a website that has my broadcasting reel samples, graphics, and stuff like that. It's just egiddings.com, and you can go check it out.
All right, perfect. Well, that is basically it. Make sure to follow us on all social medias at On His Tab. You can follow me on my personal social media at xbriansilva. Make sure to visit the website for more information on who's going to be on and the upcoming episodes. That just about does it. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, B-.